Imagine setting a pile of cash on fire. Now imagine burning it at a rate of roughly $270 every single second. To put that in perspective, you could crash a brand new Lamborghini every hour of every day for 6 months, and you still wouldn't burn money as fast as Quibi did. This is the story of the most expensive failure in Silicon Valley history, a streaming service that raised $1.75 billion, hired the biggest stars in Hollywood, and evaporated in just 6 months. This wasn't just bad luck, it was a masterclass in how to ignore reality. Welcome to Red Ink History. Let's look at the body. To understand the disaster, you have to understand the arrogance. Quibi wasn't a startup in a garage, it was a coronation. It was led by Jeffrey Katzenberg, the titan who built the Disney Renaissance and DreamWorks, and Meg Whitman, the former CEO of HP and eBay. But before they settled on the name Quibi, Katzenberg actually wanted to call the service omakase. It's a high-end Japanese sushi term that translates to, "I leave it up to you." It refers to a chef serving you whatever he thinks is best. That was the philosophy. We are the geniuses, you are the audience. We know what you want better than you do. They raised nearly $2 billion on that promise. They didn't have a product. They didn't have a single subscriber. They just had the ego to believe that if they built it, you would come. But why did so many A-list celebrities sign up for a platform that didn't exist? The answer lies in a secret clause called the rights reversion. Katzenberg offered creators a deal that was unheard of in Hollywood. Quibi would pay for the production, but Quibi would only own the content for 7 years. Even better, after just 2 years, the creators could stitch their short episodes together and release them as a full-length movie elsewhere. Essentially, Quibi paid Steven Spielberg and Guillermo del Toro millions of dollars to make movies that Quibi wouldn't even own in the long run. It was a terrible deal for the company, but a great deal for the talent. They were renting prestige, not buying it. Every corporate disaster has a point of no return. For Quibi, it happened before the app even launched. Super Bowl Sunday 2020. Quibi spends $5.6 million for a 30-second ad slot. It features Chance the Rapper and a confusing bank heist. The ad was so vague that market research later showed that 70% of people thought Quibi was a food delivery service. But the real sin was the timing. Millions of people searched for Quibi that night, and they found nothing. The app wouldn't launch for another 2 months. They spent $5 million to tell the world to wait. By the time the app actually launched in April, the world had moved on. Once the app launched, the spending went from aggressive to insane. They were paying up to $6 million per hour for produced content. And this is where the story gets weird. They didn't just make bad shows, they made bizarre shows. There was Dishmantled, a cooking competition where food was shot out of a cannon into a chef's face, and they had to taste the splatter to guess what dish it was. There was Dummy, a buddy comedy starring Anna Kendrick and a talking sex doll. And then the crown jewel, The Golden Arm, directed by horror legend Sam Raimi. It was about a woman with a literal golden arm who dies and haunts her husband. It is widely considered one of the most unintentionally funny things ever filmed. Reports leaked that Reese Witherspoon was paid $6 million just to narrate a nature show about fierce queens in the animal kingdom. That's $1 million per episode for voiceover. Inside the Quibi offices, the staff was seething. They were watching money fly out the door for food cannons and celebrity narrators, while the app's subscriber count was flatlining. But the bad content was nothing compared to the bad technology. Steven Spielberg was signed on to write a horror series called After Dark. But there was a catch. You could only watch it at night. The app would track your phone's location and the sun's position, and if it was daytime, the show would be locked. It sounds cool in a boardroom. In reality, it was a user experience nightmare. Imagine paying for a service that refuses to let you watch your favorite show because the sun is out. Then there was the casting disaster. Quibi launched as a mobile-only app. That meant you could not use AirPlay or Chromecast to watch it on your TV. When the pandemic hit and everyone was stuck at home, nobody wanted to squint at a phone while their 65-inch TV sat dark in front of them. Users begged for a TV app. Quibi's leadership refused, insisting that their vision of on-the-go viewing was correct, even though the whole world was staying put. And then there was this social suicide. In 2020, the internet runs on memes. If you can't share it, it doesn't exist. But Quibi blocked screenshots. If you saw a funny moment, you couldn't tweet it. You couldn't put it on Instagram. They wanted to protect their copyright. Instead, they protected their obscurity. When clips of the golden arm finally went viral, it was only because people recorded their screens with another phone to mock it. Why did no one stop this? Because the leadership was completely disconnected from the product they were selling. Reports surfaced that Jeffrey Katzenberg, the man running a mobile-first tech company, had his assistant print out his emails on paper, fold them vertically, and leave them on his desk for him to read. There were reports of a two-headed monster leadership style. Katzenberg and Whitman constantly clashed. Whitman, the tech CEO, tried to run the business metrics, while Katzenberg, the Hollywood mogul, micromanaged the creative. It was a civil war at the top of the pyramid. In one meeting, Katzenberg reportedly pitched Gal Gadot on becoming the new Jane Fonda, suggesting she do a workout series for the app, completely misunderstanding her career and the current cultural landscape. They were trying to sell a product to Gen Z while living in a world that hadn't existed since 1995. When the numbers tanked, the executives blamed the pandemic. They said, "We built an app for commuting and the world stopped commuting." It's a lie. During the lockdown, streaming exploded. TikTok, Netflix, and Disney Plus had record years. People wanted content. They just didn't want to pay $8 a month to watch 5-minute clips on their phone. The projected numbers were delusional. They told investors they would have 7.4 million subscribers in the first year. By the end, they had barely scraped together 500,000 active users, and many of those were on free trials. The advertisers revolted. Major brands like Pepsi, Taco Bell, and Anheuser-Busch had prepaid millions for ad slots based on those high subscriber projections. When the viewers didn't show up, the advertisers reportedly demanded their money back or renegotiated their deals, draining the company's remaining cash reserves. To add insult to injury, a small interactive video company called Eco sued Quibi, claiming that the Turnstyle technology was actually stolen from them. Quibi was bleeding money on content, bleeding money on refunds, and now they were bleeding money on lawyers. In October 2020, just 6 months after launch, the dream died. The library that cost over $1 billion to make was sold to Roku for less than $100 million. It was a fire sale. But the final nail in the coffin was the farewell call. Reports state that during the video call to fire his staff, Jeffrey Katzenberg suggested they listen to the song "Get Back Up Again" from the Trolls movie to feel better. You cannot make this up. It was the perfect ending to a company completely disconnected from reality. Quibi serves as a billion-dollar lesson in solutionism, solving a problem that users don't actually have. History is written by the victors, but the most valuable lessons come from the losers. Welcome to Red Ink History. We explore the boardrooms, the backroom deals, and the fatal moments of arrogance that turned billion-dollar empires into graveyards. From corporate collapses to cultural turning points, we break down history's most dramatic moments in a clear, cinematic way. This isn't just about numbers. It's about psychology, hubris, and the thin line between being a visionary and being a memory. Subscribe to watch giants fall. I'll see you in the next collapse.